Welcome back. So, with the analysis of various power sources, like in case of dynamic, we have seen the different mechanisms like switching power dissipation, short circuited power dissipation, and glitching power dissipation. And also, static power case, what are the different leakage cover currents are responsible for the static power dissipation. With all those, what we understand that the power dissipation is directly proportional to applied voltage VDD. So in order to reduce the power dissipation, it is better to reduce the supply voltage. So by reducing the supply voltage, you can reduce both dynamic power dissipation and also static power dissipation so that the total power dissipation can be reduced. If you take this one as a parameter for reducing the power dissipation, let us see what happens. That is, this is a curve representing the first one representing variation of normalized energy with the applied voltage. It implies reducing the VDD voltage reduces the energy consumed. That means the power dissipation is less. But at the same time, if you see the delay with reference to reducing the voltage VDD, what happens? The delay value is increased. How can you say this one? In previous classes, we derived the delay expression like this. With this, the delay is inversely proportional to VDD. The delay is inversely proportional to VDD. So when VDD is decreased, the delay is increased. The delay value is increased. That too, if the decremental of VDD is equal to threshold voltage, what happens? The denominator parameter becomes 0. The denominator value becomes 0. Therefore, the delay is very sharply increases so that the speed is decreased. That the second curve represents. So with the decreasing of VDD, the delay value is increased. But this is not our aim. Our aim is improving the speed at the same time decreasing the power consumption. But if you work on VDD, what happens? Power consumption is reduced, but at the same time the speed is decreased. So we need to concentrate on improving the speed while reducing the power dissipation. Let us see voltage scaling techniques. What are available in the literature? Those are static voltage scaling, multi-level voltage scaling, dynamic voltage and frequency scaling, adaptive voltage scaling techniques. Coming to voltage scaling technique, here all the voltages are fixed voltage. All the voltages for each and every subsystem in a given system, the system consists many subsystems or blocks. Each and every subsystem or block operate at a fixed voltage source, at a fixed voltage. But coming to multi-level voltage scaling case, here the different subsystems work at different voltages, but all are fixed. Different subsystems work at different voltages, but those voltages are also fixed. And another technique is dynamic voltage and frequency scaling. Here, the different subsystems work at different voltages, but those voltages are not fixed. The voltage that too depends on the work done by that subsystem. And another technique is adaptive voltage scaling. Here, we have the feedbacking system or closed loop control system. It continuously monitors what about the workload of that system. Based on that system, based on the workload, how much supply voltage that system needs, that voltage is adjusted automatically. So adjustable type of voltage sources are used in the adaptive voltage scaling technique. So like that, we have 4 different categories of voltage scalings: static voltage, multi-level voltage, dynamic voltage and frequency, and adaptive voltage. Let us see one by one. Coming to static voltage scaling. So while applying the scaling in order to improve the speed, that too at the physical level. So these voltage scaling techniques you can apply at any level of abstraction in the VLSI design flow. If you see at the physical level, the type of technique is for improving the speed is device scaling. Device scaling. What is meant by device scaling? Device scaling means reducing the size of the device. Reducing the size of the device means changing the different dimensions of the MOS transistor by a factor of S. Here the scaling factor is S. If you see the dimensions of the transistor, like the different dimensions in the transistor are channel length, channel width, thickness of the oxide layer, depth, junction depths, and also concentrations you need to take into account. So all these dimensions are scaled so that we have two types of scaling techniques: constant voltage scaling, constant field scaling. Constant field scaling, also known as the full scaling. And here in the constant field scaling, that is, the name itself represents maintaining constant field for the operation of the MOS transistor. You know, the operation of the MOS transistor depends on the fields existed in the structure. So that field should be constant before scaling and after scaling. So let us see how the different parameters are scaled in this constant field scaling. So this is a table representing how the different dimensions, voltages and dopings of the transistor can be scaled. So before scaling, the channel length is L. In case before scaling, if you take the channel length, its value is L. But after scaling, its value becomes L by S. Like that, channel width, the thickness, depth, voltages, power supply voltage and threshold voltage are reduced by the factor of S. But if you come to doping concentrations, they are increased by a factor of S. Why? Because in order to maintain constant field before scaling and after scaling, the doping concentrations are increased by a factor of S. So with this type of constant field scaling, let us see what is the effect on the device parameters. Like the parameters like gate capacitance per unit area, whatever drain current, delay, etc. If you see gate capacitance per unit area, let us take the expression for the gate capacitance per unit area and substitute the scaling factor on each and every parameter, so that the gate capacitance per unit area is increased by a factor of S, whereas the current is decreased by the factor of S. So that if you see the power dissipation or power consumption, you know, power is a product of current and voltage. Since both voltage and currents are scaled by a factor S, therefore the power dissipation is decreased by a factor of S square. Then coming to power dissipation per unit area, it is unchanged. With reference to power density, with reference to power density, no change. No change means before scaling, whatever the amount of power density we have, after scaling also same amount of power density you can expect. Okay. And what about gate capacitance? Gate capacitance value is decreased by a factor S. Okay. So now this is the table representing what is the effect of constant field scaling on device parameters. So the second column represents what are the values of these parameters before scaling, and third column represents after scaling what are those values. If you observe, the power dissipation is decreased by a factor of S square, as power density is same, and delay is decreased by a factor of S, energy is decreased by a factor of S cube. Okay, so with reference to all parameters, this constant field scaling gives the advantages, but here one drawback is there, That is, usually the system is communicate with the peripheral systems, but those systems may operate at a different voltage. So there should be a problem with reference to compatibility. Compatibility problem you can get between our system um, to peripheral systems. So in order to get good compatibility, a proper arrangement you need to provide again. So to avoid this problem, we can see another type of scaling technique, device scaling, that is constant voltage scaling. Here the voltage is maintained as constant, whereas all other dimensions are scaled by a factor of s. See, this is a table how the scaling factor can be done in the constant voltage scaling. All length, width, thickness, junction depth are scaled down by a factor of s, but doping concentrations are scaled by a increased concentrations increased by the factor s square. Okay, whereas voltages, the reference to voltage, no scaling. So with this, if you observe the device parameter values, the current is increased so that the power dissipation also increased. With reference to power density, it is also increased by s square s cube times, but delay is decreased. So with the constant voltage scaling, compatibility is achieved. Delay, with reference to delay, the improvement is there. Delay is decreased, but the power dissipation is not reduced. The power consumption is not reduced. So that is the drawback of this constant voltage scaling. So whichever is suitable as per the user requirement, that he has or her has to prefer. Okay, that is about the device scaling under voltage scaling at the physical level, right? Thank you.